Shooting occurred at the soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers.
A bloody day at Georgia's largest Army base. A sergeant accused of opening fire at Fort Stewart, injuring 5 of his colleagues tonight. That sergeant is behind bars, and the search for answers is just beginning.
When something like this happens, it impacts all of us.
While we don't know much about the gunman's motives so far, some lawmakers are already discussing the public policy behind it, the changes some want to see.
And the search for answers is where we begin tonight on the News at 10. I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Just before 11 this morning, authorities say gunfire rang out at Fort Stewart, injuring 5 people. They say Sergeant Quornelius Radford opened fire at his workplace before soldiers stopped him, but the damage was already done.
Well, thankfully, all 5 are in stable condition tonight and are expected to survive.
We have team coverage of this shooting for you tonight. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo is here in studio with a look at how lawmakers are responding.
But we begin tonight with Fox 5's Tyler Fingert, who joins us now live from the base about an hour southwest of Savannah. Tyler?
Yeah, good evening. Fort Stewart is one of the country's largest Army installations, but today it turned into a crime scene after officials say 5 soldiers were shot by one of their own.
Bullets led to a lockdown Wednesday morning at Fort Stewart in South Georgia. Officials say the gunfire rang out just before 11 and left 5 soldiers wounded.
The shooting occurred at the soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers.
Army officials identified the suspected shooter as 28-year-old Sergeant Quornelius Radford. This mugshot is from earlier this year when he was arrested on suspicion of DUI in Liberty County. Officials praised fellow soldiers for taking him down before law enforcement arrived.
And I know that his soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
Investigators say Sergeant Radford used a personal handgun and not a military firearm to carry out the shooting at Fort Stewart, which is about 40 miles southwest of Savannah. Officials say the soldiers Radford shot were taken to local hospitals where 3 underwent surgery. All are stable and are expected to recover.
Our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade.
The Army says Radford is an automated logistics sergeant assigned to the Army's 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, also known as the Spartan Brigade. The Army has called the unit its most modern land fighting force. Officials say he is not deployed to combat.
Still not certain about the motivations, but again, he's been interviewed by Army investigators, and we believe we'll gain more information here shortly.
The FBI is assisting the Army with this investigation. At this point, it's unclear what exact charges Sergeant Radford will face, but we are working to get those details. As soon as we get that, we'll of course let you know on air and online. It's also important to mention that the people in charge of the base say that they are confident in the security here despite what happened today. We are live outside Fort Stewart tonight. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
And such a relief that all 5 of those wounded soldiers are expected to be okay. Tyler, thanks. Here is a timeline of what happened at Fort Stewart this morning. At 10:56, law enforcement officers were dispatched to Fort Stewart for a possible shooting. By 11:04, the base was on lockdown. 5 minutes later, medical personnel dispatched for the wounded, and by 11:35, 40 minutes after the first call, the shooter, Sergeant Quornelius Radford, was apprehended.
President Donald Trump says he hopes the gunman will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He said this.
The entire nation is praying for the victims and their families, and hopefully they'll fully recover, and we can put this chapter behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this horrible person.
Well, lawmakers across Georgia are reacting to the shooting as investigators try to piece together the motive. Some say the mass shooting is a reflection of broken public policy.
Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo joins us in studio to break down that side of the story tonight. Rob?
Hey there, guys. Well, good evening to you both. It is still too early to know definitively what led the shooter to open fire on Fort Stewart earlier today. Investigators say he brought his own gun on base. The Republican congressman who represents the district is calling it a mental health issue. News of the mass shooting on Fort Stewart broke around 11 a.m. Wednesday. 5 soldiers shot, none of them killed.
When something like this happens, it impacts all of us.
Republican Congressman Buddy Carter represents the district the base sits in, just outside Savannah.
We're so proud of Fort Stewart and the fine men and women who serve there, and these dog-faced soldiers are a big part of our community.
Police haven't revealed why they believe Sergeant Quornelius Radford went onto the base with his own gun and opened fire.
You know, to have soldiers on a base shot and hurt and hospitalized when they're in the middle of serving their country is completely unacceptable.
After the shooting, Congressman Carter called for better mental health resources for active members of the military.
The mental health aspect of it is the key. We need to make sure that we're taking care of each other, and we need to make sure that we are addressing the needs, the mental health needs of our soldiers.
We understand that mental health is a part of this problem, but it's not the entire problem.
Emma Brown runs Giffords, a gun violence prevention organization founded by former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords after she was nearly killed in a shooting. The group wants to see more red flag laws and stricter background checks to get a gun in Georgia.
We are allowing people with criminal backgrounds, we are allowing people who are a danger to themselves or to others to easily access firearms.
But Congressman Carter thinks that could be going too far.
It's a tragic incident and one that we have to address, but at the same time, we can't overreact and take guns out of the hands of legal abiding citizens.
And tonight, Senator Raphael Warnock has committed federal support to the Fort Stewart community. Governor Brian Kemp says he is in close contact with law enforcement on the ground there. Both have asked Georgians to keep the victims, families, and first responders in your prayers tonight. Guys.
Yeah, a lot of questions will be asked about the motives and how he had access to the firearm. So many questions, but of course nothing can explain such senseless violence.
Of course, right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Rob, thanks.
Of course.
And this is not the first shooting that's happened at Fort Stewart. In December of 2022, investigators say Shea Wilson shot and killed Sergeant Nathan Hillman at the base. Authorities say the two were assigned to the same division. Wilson was charged with murder under Article 118 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. His case is still pending.
And of course, this story is still developing tonight. Fox 5 will bring you updates on air and on the Fox Local app. As we learn more, we have this web article that breaks down everything we know so far, the timeline of events, what we know about the accused gunman and the victims.